Hi, welcome here if it's your first time listening to one of my videos, and welcome back if this isn't the first time watching one of my videos. So today I'm going to talk about the one thought that is causing all of your suffering. Or it might even be a collection of thoughts that is causing all of the suffering. And that thought is, this shouldn't be happening. Or some version of that. So I've made a few notes over here about some other thoughts that occurred to my mind that fall under this category of this shouldn't be happening. So obviously, and that's a thought about life, about something that's occurring in life. So it might be some version of, this isn't fair, why me, not this again, I don't like this, I can't handle this, why does this always happen to me, I don't deserve this. Any of that kind of flavour of thinking, which is really saying there's something happening in life over here, and then there's my mind telling me this shouldn't be happening. Something else, this should be different in some way, this shouldn't be occurring, this shouldn't be going on. And it's really that I want to talk about today, because the what is occurring in life is what is occurring, and we have zero control over that. Now, we also have pretty much zero control over how our mind is going to talk about that thing that's happening in life. But the bit where we can have some element of seeing this differently is that this thought here that says this shouldn't be happening, this narration of what is happening on life over here on this track, is that we don't have to believe that thought. So the actual presence of the thought, this shouldn't be happening, and its little collection of cousins and buddies that come along with it, isn't actually the issue. It's the fact that that thought is believed that then causes the suffering within us. And that's something that we can, with time and with exploring how our mind works and looking at how thought is creating our reality, that is something that we are able to see through. It is something that we don't have to take quite so seriously. So the thought itself isn't the issue, because I think almost all of us are going to have that thought. Something comes along in life, our ego, our personality, our humanness doesn't like, doesn't want, hasn't expected. We're going to have some thinking about that, because there's always life happening and then thought happening over the top of it about what's happening in life. And we can't control that thought comes along. And because I think we're kind of in the conditioning that we can control some things, or that we should be able to control some things, or that life should go our way, particularly if we're a good person, then that stuff's going to come up in our mind for sure, 100%. You know, we're going to get that experience appearing, but we don't actually have to believe it, and we don't actually have to take it so seriously. And I think really the question, if we can pull back from all of the thinking that's saying this shouldn't be happening, is the deeper question for me is, how do we know that this shouldn't be happening? Like, how would a limited, small but powerful human mind know what should be happening in life? Like, when we pull back and really look at life, at the fact that there's a planet hanging in space, that all of the conditions have come right where life can occur, and that there's this intelligence behind life, there's this life is happening. How could we, as a small human mind, know that in our lives, our expression of this life force, that this shouldn't be happening? And when we kind of see it like that, or for me, when I see it like that, it really just helps me to kind of pull back away from really being, because it's very painful, this thought. It is really where all of the suffering is this thought being believed. It could be a different way. It should be a different way. This shouldn't be happening. And I just don't really see how a human mind can actually know that, or know that it's true. Because life is happening and stuff, of course, difficult stuff comes along. And I am definitely not saying in this video that we shouldn't be allowed to have all of those thoughts and feelings. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have total compassion for ourselves when those thoughts and feelings are here. I'm not saying that we don't have a personality, an ego, a human side of us that isn't going to have really strong preferences for what it wants in life. I'm not saying that there aren't things that are very challenging to deal with, that are going to bring up a lot of emotions. But what I am saying is that in the process of those things coming into our life and through our life, it's the thought that this shouldn't be happening that is causing some of the suffering. So I want to look at an example in my own life, and it's a small example, but I think it's just a kind of helpful narration to help kind of explain what I'm talking about. Because I also know that the process that I'm going to talk to you about what's going on in my experience is also true for bigger things that have happened in my own life and bigger things that are happening in your life that are challenging and difficult and painful, that you don't want to be there and that you wish were different. But the process is exactly the same. It's just that it looks more difficult or it looks more tricky when it's something that is bigger or more painful or we really, really don't want. So I've got a situation with my son's senior school, and it's a new school. He's only just started in September, where there's an issue where he's been off sick and now they won't authorise the absence. And in my experience, I've had a lot of, this is unfair, this shouldn't be happening, he was sick, he should be allowed to be sick, they shouldn't be being totally bureaucratic about this, they should just sign off the sickness. In essence, what I'm saying is this situation shouldn't be happening. And what I can see in my experience is that this is what's happening. They're not going to authorise the absence, so it's going to go on his record as an unauthorised absence. And over here, I've got a mind that's talking about it and saying all of what I just said. This shouldn't be happening. It's not fair. He was sick. This should be authorised. I'm going to fight this. Now, over here, so I've got all of that experience, and also then all of the stuff that then comes up around, do they not think I'm a good parent? Do they think that we just allow him to be off school? What are they thinking about that? All of that's coming up in this experience of the objective thing that's happening, which is they're not authorising his sickness absence. And so I'm in all of those emotions, and I'm allowing myself to have all of those emotions, and they are there, and my personality doesn't like it and my ego doesn't like it. And it's really interesting for me to see that, to see what's coming up in my experience about what I'm believing. And then as I'm in that experience of allowing myself to feel all of that, at some point it settles a bit and I can just pull back and I can see that this is happening. There's this narration, this shouldn't be happening, and that's where all the suffering is. And also, in a more settled space, and it keeps, at the moment, because I'm right in the middle of it as I'm recording this video, it's going up and down all the time. It's kind of like I'm in a settled space with it, and then I'm right back in it when I talk to someone about it or when I receive another email about it. But what I can see, and this is another thing that I want to illustrate, is it doesn't mean that there shouldn't be action taken. Because I know that what I'm saying might be perceived as, oh, well, if there's suffering in the world, if there's challenging things that are happening, should we just do nothing about it because we should just, accept that it's happening? And ultimately, maybe yes, maybe we will just have to accept that this has happened. But in a more settled space, when I'm not so caught up in all of that, this shouldn't be happening thinking, where all of the suffering is, I can see, okay, it's sensible for me to try to contest this not in too heavy a way, see what the process is. I want to make my rational points made and then see what happens. And then at some point I'll just let it go. I'm not going to let it be something that obviously, goes on and on and on, because it's not worth my own mental health for that. But in a settled space, I can see, there's some action that I think would be sensible to take here when I'm not in all of the, why is this happening? Poor me, this shouldn't be happening to him, it shouldn't be happening to our family. And you can see how dramatic my mind is being about it. But I just know that I don't have to take that seriously. I know it isn't me. I know it isn't the truth of the situation. I know that the school have a completely different perspective about it, and they're completely entitled to that. But that doesn't mean there isn't some action that needs to be taken. So if there is a challenge in your life that you are struggling with, that you do feel this shouldn't be happening, in a more settled space, there might be some logical, sensible, okay, let's see if we can alter this. Let's see if we can do something to change this. But also without the thought hanging over it of this shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be having to deal with this. This isn't fair. This is a waste of my time. Life should be showing up differently. Without all of that weighing it down, often it's easier to know what action to take. So what I really want to get across here also is that the resistance that we feel to something showing up in our lives, in this thought of this shouldn't be happening, is also really a resistance to not wanting to feel something. So in my example, the bit that I might not want to feel is do they think I'm a good parent, or do they think I'm a bad parent? What is the school thinking about me? And all of the kind of injustice around that my ego and my personality is trying to present to me as truth. And so when we can see that this is what's happening in life, and then I've got thinking that says this shouldn't be happening, there will be some resistance to whatever life is asking us to feel in this situation. And if we can then just allow ourselves to have those feelings, because they are safe, because they are not the objective truth of the situation, it's a mind with a perspective that is presenting something that's painful, and there's some feelings that need to be felt there, and they're going to move and they're going to pass, and they don't mean anything about us as a human being. If we can allow us, if we know that to be true, which is what I know to be true, so that's why I'm allowing myself to have all of these crappy feelings, because I know it isn't who I am, it's an experience passing through me. We can allow ourselves to have it all. We don't have to resist all of the feelings that is coming up because of this situation being in our lives, because this experience is flowing through us. And that's really one of the major keys to dealing with anything that's challenging in life, is just being able to allow ourselves to feel the feelings that come along with it, and to know where they're coming from, that they're coming from the story the mind is telling about it. So it's okay if someone has died that was so important to you, there's going to be potentially some feelings of this shouldn't be happening. It was too early, they shouldn't have died now, I shouldn't be having to deal with this. And there's also going to be enormous grief and sadness that needs to be felt. So we can just recognise, oh, there's the thought, this shouldn't be happening. Well, how can I know that? How can my small mind know the greater intelligence of life that this person shouldn't have passed? And then I also need to allow myself to feel all of those feelings, also the injustice of it, the resentment of it, all of that, and then all of the deeper grief. And at some point we can see that this experience is absolutely going to change anyway. I can already feel from when my situation started on Friday, I'm feeling really quite differently about it now. It's Monday, and that's the beauty of life, is that this suffering, particularly when we can see through the thinking that's saying this shouldn't be happening, the suffering is not here on a permanent basis. It may go on for a long time, but it will ebb and it will flow as the feelings come and go. So I hope this has been helpful. I just want to summarise at the end, okay, if you're still watching, to say what I am saying is there's life happening here. There's an intelligence behind it that is far, far greater than a human mind. We're going to have a human mind that's going to narrate an ego, a personality that is going to narrate our conditioning. It's going to narrate this shouldn't be happening, this isn't fair. We're going to have all that experience. We need to allow ourselves to have that experience and to feel all of the feelings. And then when we're maybe not quite in the thick of it, is there action that I need to take? Is there something that I can do? If there isn't, I just need to be in the feelings. If there is, I take that action, and then I allow myself to feel the next bit of it. So I hope this has been helpful. Please do share this video with someone if you think it would help them, particularly if they're suffering at the moment. And please like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you again in a video soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.